Hi, all. My name is Dorothy Lee. I'm the Executive Director of LitWorld. Thank you so much for tuning in for today's Lunch with LitWorld, though it's actually 7 p.m. for our special guests. We're so excited to spotlight two of our wonderful community-based partners today, Kenya Education Fund, based in Nairobi, Kenya, and Art of a Child, based in Kampala, Uganda. In case any of you are new to LitWorld, our mission is to strengthen kids and communities through the power of stories. We partner with community-based organizations all around the globe, including here in the United States, to run programs and campaigns that support kids and families. Kenya Education Fund and Art of a Child are some of our longest running partnerships. LitWorld's very first work started in 2007 with teacher trainings in Nairobi. And our coordinators at Kenya Education Fund, Priska and Joffrey, have been personally doing this work with us for almost 10 years, deepening the work in Nairobi and also spreading to many additional communities across Kenya. We first connected with Art of a Child through our World Read Aloud Day campaign. Please mark your calendars for February 3rd, 2021 for the next big day. We've grown our work with Susan and her team at Art of a Child for over 7 years. Kenya Education Fund's mission is to provide disadvantaged students in Kenya and their schools with support and educational resources for them to improve their communities and break the poverty cycle. Art of a Child's mission is to unlock children's potential through arts and modern literacy skills. I will now turn you over to Maria Oholchanska, LitWorld's Program and Partnerships Associate, who will interview Joffrey and Susan. Please feel free to send in any questions by clicking on the chat button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Thanks again for joining us.
Hello. Hi, everybody. So as Dorothy had said, my name is Maria. I am the Program and Partnership Associate for LitWorld. Thank you very much, Dorothy, for the introduction. And thank you, everybody, for watching today. We're really, really happy to have you with us. And we look forward to any questions or comments that you have for myself, for Susan, for Joffrey, who's joining us today. So please feel free to write those into the chat feature, and we'll make sure to get to them towards the end of our time together. So let's get started. Hi, Susan. Hi, Joffrey. It's great to see you both.
Hi, Maria. Great to see you too.
Susan, it looks like you're still muted. Oh, now we
Hi,
can hear you.
Maria.
Hi.
Thanks for having us, and yeah, glad to be here.
Great, great. Thank you. So I'd love to jump right in. I know Dorothy spoke a little bit about the missions for both of your organizations and about how we've been working with you for quite some time, but I was hoping that you can start us off by telling people a little bit more about what Art of a Child and Kenya Education Fund typically do throughout the year, and then how that has really changed this year with the pandemic and everything that has happened. And so since there's two of you, why don't we go ahead and start with Susan?
All right, thank you, Maria. Art of a Child has grown over the years and has now developed a couple of programs. We now run 7 programs that we are doing during the normal calendar of the year. And first and foremost, we run a mobile arts facility, which serves out-of-school children, and it delivers basically 3 things: art, music, and basic literacy skills to children that are not in school, so that they're given a chance to learn while they're waiting to join school for some reason, if they are not getting school fees, and to keep them learning, to give them an experience of school. It also serves as a mobile library still for children in informal settlements. Yes. Secondly, we build and set up arts and literacy centers. This is something that we have developed out of the amazing relationship we have with LitWorld that has taught us that communities can, grow together through literacy programs. So since our basic was art, so we decided to combine the two arts, for reason being that, they help to develop the cognitive abilities of children, also literacy programs, because the transformation of communities is best through if they are able to read, write, and advocate for themselves. So we have so far set up one successfully in Wakiso, that is rural Uganda, and we are setting up another one in Western Uganda. God willing, end of this year we might achieve that.
Which is super exciting, yes.
Yes, thank you. Thirdly, we also run a teen poetry slam. This is a program that we started for our communities that are able to pay for the service. These are schools that can pay for this service and also feel like they need some social emotional learning skills for their students. So we saw it best to do this through poetry, because we also believe that it's good to equip young people with advocacy skills. And that is why we started the Teen Poetry Slam, which works with poetry clinics in the schools. And then later, once in a year, it's done as a competition where the winning school takes a trophy. However, that's not really the most important thing, but the most important thing is along the year, they gain skills of performing poetry as an art, writing their own poetry, and also expressing themselves and talking about issues that they feel that are important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, through the art of poetry. Then we also run book havens. This is in partnership with Book Aid Internationals, where we set up book havens, not at centers that we have built ourselves, but with partnerships with schools and communities to make sure children have access to literacy, have access to safe spaces where they can just meet, appreciate reading, and also just enjoy books as a form of play. So not last one, we have this year we developed a feeding program because we needed to help our communities, our families, our schools. Most of the schools we partner with were struggling with providing especially lunch for their children. So we saw it that sometimes when we need to run our programs like lit clubs, we would find that the children have not had lunch and things like that. So we saw it best to start a feeding program to support our communities and especially our partner schools. So we support them in terms of feeding, providing lunches or breakfast in some cases. And at our arts and literacy centers, we are also providing the same for children who come for our activities. Mm-hmm. Then we also do the same for those who cannot access it at our centers. We do like handouts, yes, where it is really bad. And last and not least, we run lit clubs and glow clubs. So the lit clubs are run and in using a social emotional learning kind of environment. And I think Geoffrey will say more about that because we do the same programs as well. So with Art of a Child in partnership with LitWorld, we offer safe spaces for children and mothers to tell their own stories, to learn through telling stories. It's a structured safe space. Children raise their voices, they use their writings or their art to become agents of change and agents of hope in their communities. So yeah, that is pretty much what we do throughout the year.
Which is a lot. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing, Susan. Art of a Child has a huge impact in the communities that you work with, and it's always so great to hear about all the pivoting that you do specifically this year. to support the communities and what they need at this time, like the feeding program, which I've seen a lot of our community-based organizations do because of everything that has happened. But Geoffrey, I know that KEF also does an immense amount of different things with kids and families. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about that as well.
Well, thank you so much, Maria. Well, Kenya Education Fund as an organization predominantly involves this. Our programs involve the sponsorships of students through high school mostly. We have a few in primary school, but then primary school is relatively cheaper compared to high school because primary school is a little bit free, somehow free in Kenya. Not really free, but it's relatively cheaper. So our concentration is more on the high school students. So in the high school packet, we usually give the students, we pay the school fees, and we also we also have workshops for them. We also do we do school visits and all that. So as Kenya Education, as a program, the scholarship program, KEF has the scholarship program as one of our programs. Now, the other program is the life skills workshop that we conduct for our students. The other program is the life skills programs that we conduct for our students. This is just to provide them with that psychosocial support and also to guide them on their careers and to give them any other kind of support and any other the soft skills that they might need, so that because when they go to school, what they achieve, whatever is given in school, is just more academic, and then they lack the social bit, the social skills, and we try to impart this in them. And then the other program, we have an alumni program, and the alumni program brings together all the alumni that have ever been sponsored by Kenya Education Fund, and through an association that they've formed, they're able to come together and do different activities. And these activities involve giving back to the community, and the community also involves giving back to Kenya Education Fund. And they've also sponsored students, and they've also as a group. And so we have an effective alumni program that we operating. And then the last program is, of course, the Lit Clubs. Right now, we have close to 16 Lit Clubs across the country, and our concentration is more on, we have Lit Clubs in the informal settlements, that is in Kibera, and we also have Lit Clubs in rural areas like Lodwa. And we also have others in other informal settlements in Kayole, also in Nairobi, and we also have another informal settlement in Kawangware, also in Nairobi. So we tried to go for the informal settlements because some of the issues that they are facing. And in Lodwa, given the geopolitics of Lodwa, they've been marginalized for a very long time. And this informed the essence of us forming Lit Clubs, because we understood that the students there and the community there very much needed these programs. So those are the 4 main programs that we run at Kenya Education Fund.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Geoffrey. I know that we had momentarily lost Susan, perhaps because of the connection. And so hopefully she can join us in just a moment and share a little bit more about Art of a Child with us. But while that's happening, I know that you already started talking a little bit about the communities that KEF is in. And so I'd love to ask you about the impact of the COVID pandemic and everything that has happened this year on the communities that you work in. I know that you work with a lot of vulnerable groups, with teens, with girls, with moms. And so what have you seen happening in these communities this year? And it looks like you're on mute, Geoffrey.
Sorry about that. Like most communities, the communities that we serve have also been gravely affected. One of the things that have affected us is come as a result of the pandemic is loss of a whole academic year, because there's a group of students that is going to lose a whole academic. That means that come next year, parents will have again to struggle and start paying school fees afresh, and it's a real struggle.
Absolutely.
Especially high school. Yeah, high school fees is very expensive in Kenya.
Yeah.
And they've also been a widespread poverty because of the loss of jobs. They've also been the lockdowns and the restrictions have also affected businesses, and this has affected livelihoods. The other thing that has also come as an effect of the pandemic is the rise of teenage pregnancies, and generally there've been a teenage kind of an unrest. And it's not like they have never been there before. They've been there, but this rise, for example, in Kenya, we have recorded like an average increase of 40% monthly. Like the monthly average has increased by 40%, and that is just the teenage pregnancy alone.
And that is
is
a
very deep as
mind-boggling number, right?
exactly, because
Yeah.
the numbers that we are talking about is just a few figures shy of 4,000, just for the months of between the months of April and July. That is how adverse the impact was. And they've also been, of course, what the Kenya civil society has referred to as a shadow pandemic. We have issues with gender-based violence has really been on the rise, and there's been violence and exploitation, especially of girls and women, and we've had cases of being reported of defilements, cases of domestic violence, cases of rape, and all that, and also most of the women right now, what they're facing is things like the burden of care. Everything has been left for them. And this has really affected us as a community and even the whole Kenyan society.
Absolutely, absolutely. And everything that you're describing is what we've seen, I think, across the globe, right? All the communities that we
That's true.
work with, women and
Yes.
girls tend to already be vulnerable, right? In the populations that we work with, and the situation like what we have seen happening during the pandemic only makes things worse, of course, for those who are facing these issues. So I know that Kenya Education Fund has been working on a lot of different interventions and trying to, assist the families and the girls in the communities that you're working with. And so will you talk a little bit about what you guys have done this year to, try and address these issues?
Well, one of the things that we've tried to do, especially when it comes to the academic bit, Kenya Education Fund as an organization has been able to, because there was a program that the Kenyan government came up with, and the program involved e-learning. So the schools were instructed to concentrate more on the e-learning, but then you realize that internet connectivity has been a problem in most parts. When I mentioned Lodwar, and Lodwar as an example, is one of those communities that even accessing normal communications is very difficult. And now when you talk about internet, it's somewhere close to impossible, and it's very, very, very expensive. So we were trying to bridge this gap, and because we realized that since most of the students were missing out on the learning opportunities, we decided to distribute learning materials and academic resources. One of the things that we did, we partnered with like-minded organizations and foundations, and we were able to distribute over 16,000 academic materials, and we were also able to distribute over to more than 10,000 girls sanitary towels, because like I mentioned, the pandemic has also brought about sexual reproductive health crisis, and as an organization, this is something that we really wanted to kind of mitigate
Absolutely.
in the capacity that we can. So we've been able to distribute these books, and the books have been quite helpful. We've received good feedback, and we are now in the second phase of distributing more books to the students. So we're actually printing the second phase of that project is ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that's one of the biggest projects that we've been undertaking during this pandemic.
Yeah, and I know that Kenya Education Fund has been working so hard to help the kids and the families that you work with while still trying to deal with social distancing and being under lockdown yourselves, right? So I've seen the staff working remotely, working from your homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been quite a challenging and crazy year for everybody.
Yeah.
We do have another question that just came in from Sharon Runge that relates specifically about the topic that we're talking about. And so I'd love to go ahead and address that now. And the question is, do you think the pregnancy that is occurring for teen girls is from teen sex and teenagers having relationships, or is it older men preying on the girls in the communities?
Well, when the students were in school, the teachers were always blamed. But now when they're at home, the teachers...
Oh, Jeffrey, it looks like you're muted again. No, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, when like I mentioned, I was saying when they were in school, we were blaming the teachers for being responsible for the pregnancies. But now that they're at home, it's a combination of a lot of there are so many contributors, for the lack of a better word. We have their age mates, like it's well, teachers, and then there's also the issue of the older men who are also preying on them, and depending on like, for example, where we are based in Kibera, we have those who have been blamed a lot. Have been we call them boda boda. They transport people using motorbikes. Fingers have always been pointed at them, and they're of course the older, given the economic impact of the COVID, most parents, and it has been reported that some parents left the children to go seek for ways on how they can help the children survive, and then behind their backs, then these things happen. So it's a combination of both. It's and we've also had students, like children, school-going children, being arrested because some of them were found having parties that were not really monitored, or they were not really monitored by a lot happened during those parties, so they might have contributed to the resurgence of the teenage pregnancies.
Absolutely. And of course, when those social constructs like going to school and sticking to regular schedules crumble around us, and everybody is under so much stress, things just tend to get even worse, right, in communities where this may have already been a problem. Absolutely. So I'd love to ask you a little bit about the work that we do together. I know that, as Dorothy had mentioned, Kenya Education Fund and LitWorld have been working together for many, many years. And so can you tell us a little bit about how LitWorld programming has been present this year for you guys, for your communities, for the kids that you work with?
Well, one of the things that we realized was we needed to continuously engage our students, especially those who are in the lit clubs, because the membership of the lit clubs are currently over 300. somewhere close to 400 if we include even the teenage programs.
Mhm.
And when you look at these numbers, these are people who otherwise, who, had we not engaged them, they'd be idle. And I'm very sure that the 3,900 numbers that you were talking about, the one that was the teenage pregnancy, they could have been part of that statistics. But some of the things that we've done, one of the things that we did is we, as an organization, we created the LitWorld programs created a safe space. It created a platform for these conversations to take place. And one of those platforms was the teens programs, the KBIT and Goal programs, where we brought them together. And one of the things that they said is that they've always lacked somewhere where they can share the things that they're going through. And some of the things that they were going through from they range from their sexual lives, they range, and it's also issues with how bits of their life and their families, and also the lack of mentorships and all that. But when we brought them together, they were able to share what they had in their minds and what they had, the kind of luggage that they were carrying in their, that was trying to weigh them down. These are mental luggages, and it was really burdening them. And some of the issues that they were coming with, we were not really in a capacity to facilitate them, to help. And some of these things we used more of referrals. So we were using other organizations that are in a better position to do this. But then LitWorld as an organization provided a platform for the conversations, for the opening up. And that really helped. And we've been able to help so many girls and so many boys. And there is also the virtual sessions with the younger ones. At least it kept them going, it kept them busy. And the parents were actually very happy, especially because they had somewhere where they could leave their children, and they were sure they were safe. Like I mentioned before, most of them were leaving to go try and fend for their families after they'd lost their jobs, or after they'd lost their businesses and all that. So most of them, when they came to the hub, they found that's a place, the Lit Hub. That's a place where they could they could find something to do, and it kept the children busy until they came back. And they really appreciated that. And also the fact that we there were so many other discussions that were going on, and we also provided them with revision materials, especially for those from grades 4 to grade 8, just to keep them busy, and to also make sure that their academic life doesn't become dormant for so long. This will really affect them when they go back to school. So we tried and did our best, and made them busy. And all this was provided with the support that we got through the support we get from LitWorld. So the Lit Hub was able to provide the resources for them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for talking about all of that. It's wonderful to hear about the teens in particular that you're talking about, finding those safe spaces through our joint programming, and having the space to talk about things that are important to them, and those challenging things, as well as the support that the little ones got this year, because obviously, as you've mentioned, the entire class this year, the entire school year was canceled. So that's incredibly challenging. While we're on the topic of families, I know you've mentioned how the parents were happy. And so we do have another question coming in from Amber, that have you seen communities come together in any new ways during COVID this year? And welcome back, Susan. It's good to see that you were able to come back and join us.
Say that again, Maria.
Sure. Have you seen, the question from Amber is, have you seen communities come together in any new or inspiring ways because of or in light of COVID-19?
Well, one of something that I didn't mention was some of the problems that the families were facing was also lack of food and all that. So as an organization, through the connections that we have with other organizations, So that were providing food and such like materials. So we were able to do that. We were doing referrals and making sure that some of the students whom we were engaging with and lack some of these amenities, were able to get them from those other organizations. So to answer your questions, what I saw is that communities were coming together. And the reason why they were coming together and raising foodstuffs. They were raising, there was a creation of awareness. There was just a sensitization of all kinds, including sexual and reproductive health, so that we could tone down on the crisis and try to address some of the issues that we had. And this is a very special because over the years, we've not had this happen, because we've had communities working, organizations working separately, and even other and NGOs, other institutions like the administrations, like the public administrations. We call them the chiefs and the district officers. They were also coming together and joining hands with the NGOs, running sensitization programs on COVID, also trying to ensure that those in the community who lacked certain amenities that we felt were essential could get them. And this coming together and pooling resources really helped. And it came as a result of communities trying, different organizations trying to come together. And this is special, like I said. It has never really happened in this area, but with the pandemic, it brought some new form of awareness and the need for people to work together more often.
Right, right. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Jeffrey. That's really, really inspiring that during this time of extreme distress in the communities, people are truly finding ways to come together and work together to better their lives this way. Susan, welcome back. We're so excited that you were able to come back and be with us. We are going a little bit over the scheduled time for our interview today. And so I'd love to just give you another few minutes to talk about all the wonderful, wonderful work that Art of Child does. And perhaps after that, we'll be wrapping up a little bit more. But Susan, I know that obviously the communities that you work in have been experiencing everything that has happened throughout this year as well. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about how COVID has impacted the communities and the families you work with, and what has Art of a Child been able to do to address those issues.
Thanks, Maria. COVID has affected communities in many ways, especially families that are of low income. So we saw that our mobile art facility instead started delivering food packets to some of our children, and we also had to involve communities in activities to cater for their mental health, a little bit of counseling, and also as you know, things toned down, we also looked into digital skilling for our communities, which whereby we have opened up the office for digital skilling for children, especially to come and get digital skills, because as we can see, most of them are not able to learn because they are lacking those skills, as opposed to children that are able to access and also are able to use to learn online. So we saw it to be able to involve more of our community members into getting digital, skills. Then for our feeding program, we had to expand it as well into the rural areas and informal settlements, because most of the people had lost their jobs or were not earning at all. So we had to chip in to make sure that they get food packets. Then another thing is that our lit moms have come together and assisted us with distributing of materials to keep safe in communities, that is masks, because most of them have got these skills, tailoring skills, and have been trained in entrepreneurship skills. So they have been also trying to teach others to do the same, providing them with all that they need to keep safe. Then for the children that work within the lit clubs, we were able to do some virtual lit clubs for those ones that are able to access phones or tabs. We were keeping them involved through virtual lit clubs. Then to ensure that children keep learning, we also decided to print out self-study packets, which were being distributed in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw that parents were becoming more involved to, help their children self-study. Some of our mentors were also going in there as the lockdown was eased, going into the communities to help children to learn. We opened up our office as well to the children who are close by to be able to self-study through the packets that the government was providing through the Ministry of Education. So most of it, we have also been able to support schools that are opening up, partner schools, since most of them, like private schools, when they are closed, they are not earning.
Mm-hmm.
So they needed support to be able to qualify
Mm-hmm.
to reopen. So we had to chip in and provide hand washing stations to the schools and masks, things of that nature to support them in reopening for the children that are going to sit their final exams.
Right, right. So a huge amount of pivoting also and answering to the basic needs of the kids in the communities at this time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Susan. So as we're wrapping up, if people want to find out more about what Art of a Child does, about what Kenya Education does, I know you guys are both on social media. How can people get involved? How can people learn more about your organization?
Well, at the moment, we have opened up a learning channel, YouTube channel, Art of a Child, so that we can, involve more teachers, more parents, and more schools that are providing online studies for their children. So we have opened up more and we are starting with really explaining what Art of a Child does, and later we are also developing materials so that it can also be used as a learning moment. Then also you can find us on our social medias, that is Facebook, Instagram, and at the moment you can also find us on matatat.org, more about our work in terms of mobility, because we really feel that learning should not only be found at school, we can bring the school to the children. So we are dealing a lot more into mobile studies, mobile classes, making sure that we can reach the children that are not having the proper infrastructure to access an education.
Absolutely. And congratulations on the launch of the YouTube channel. That's very exciting.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay.
We are working hard to ensure we have materials to share with children out there and parents and teachers.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the poetry slam for the teams that you work with is also something that you can view on YouTube, the recordings. I know, so if people are interested in that, you can also access that online, right?
Yes, on the Teen Poetry Slam UG. We are also trying to keep them involved still, because it could not happen. The event could not happen this year, so we are getting them involved in online, giving them an online platform to perform their poetry still and express themselves. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's wonderful to see. Thank you very much, Susan. And Geoffrey, what about Kenya Education Fund? How can people learn more? How can people get involved?
Well, we are very much active on social media, that is Facebook, Kenya Education Fund. If you search Kenya's Education Fund on Facebook, you'll find us. There is also Instagram, we're also very active, and Twitter, of course. And if you go to our website, there is, if you type kenyaeducationfund.org, we have a beautiful and active website. And on the website, you can also register so that you can get the monthly issues that we send out. So one can register through their emails, and they'll be able to get more information about what's going on at Kenya Education Fund.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for watching today. Thank you so much, Susan and Geoffrey, for being with us today and letting us know a little bit about all the amazing work that you do. And we look forward to, speaking again soon. And to all the viewers, thank you again for your questions. Thank you for tuning in. And please feel free to go to litworld.org to learn about more, of course, about what we do and all the resources that we're providing as well during this time. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.